was happening, we saw an exciting end to a very exciting game on Sunday Night Baseball. So, Combs, tell the people how that play came about and what happened.
So I can't remember the name of the player that was on third for the Phillies, Rowe or something like that, I believe is his last name. And a fly ball got hit to Marcell Ozuna in left field, and there was one out, and Marcell Ozuna threw the ball to the plate as the runner tagged up and threw a P. I mean, just on a rope to the catcher. Catcher catches the ball, makes a block, pushes the guy off the plate. Guy never touches the plate, makes a tag.
Allegedly.
Gets called safe. No, that's what happened. And guy gets called safe. And so then they review it because they go upstairs and they say, hey, should we review this? And they say, absolutely, because he was definitely out. So they go to replay, and replay goes to New York, and the guys in New York, as they do more often than not, they got it wrong. And they call it. They say he was safe. They say the play. He was clearly out. His foot never touched. 4 different angles show you that his foot never touches the plate. So I don't know how they get this call wrong. And it's funny, too, because yesterday I was talking about how replay got a call wrong and in the Cubs game and cost the Cubs a run and cost them a rally that they had going. I don't understand how you go to replay. You have replay instituted so that this doesn't happen. And I don't understand how it happens and happens often. I don't get it.
Yeah, so one of the terminology that is always spoken when these replays do come about is there has to be undisputed evidence that the call has been reversed and returned, right? So why we sat there and we saw all 4 angles. Actually, I think there's even 5 calls because they had the one in center field, left field, right field, and behind the plate, and then somehow there were
angles.
What's that?
I said there could have been 30 angles. That 100% was out.
Yeah. So Wyatt, let me ask you this question. Combs has brought up an issue with instant replay in Major League Baseball. We saw it live right here on the Man Hour last night. Should instant replay in Major League Baseball just not exist?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm gonna say no, that it should exist because that's one mess up, and I'm sure there's been many in the past and all that. But there have been many moments that not just in baseball but in sports that you go and look at instant replay and it has ended up with the right call. So it can reverse a lot of stuff as well as it can show a lot of things that are true and that actually happened. So I think it's a little bit of both. It's kind of half and half. Like there are always going to be good things and bad things about it. There's always going to be that fact that if you do have it, like for example at the college level, at college stadiums, you're allowed to play a replay one time, and it has to be at full speed. You can't even slow it down if you're going to play it on a jumbotron. The reason because of that is because you'll have a mad fan base at the ref and all that stuff. So no matter how you toss it, there's always going to be pros and cons of both. But I still think at the end of the day that it is much easier to get a call correct through the instant replay, even if there are sometimes going to be
baseball's proven that wrong.
Yeah, if it is so easy, why in just the last 2 days alone have we had so many misplays on replay? Combs, can they even fix the replay system like at this point?
Yeah, they could hire me, somebody who's intelligent enough to look at a play and say what the heck just happened, because I don't understand. Was the guy drinking? Is he not watching the game? Did they have to wake him up? Was he in a deep sleep? Was he on call that night? What is the deal with replay in New York where they get a call like that and they get it wrong? That was as plain as day as you can get.
Yeah. That's why I don't think it's necessarily replay's fault. I think it's the person watching the replay. Because the instant replay doesn't make that call. It's the person in New York who watches that play and watches the replay and they make that call. So I think that all depends. Maybe we should find a a better set of people to make these calls, or have them go through some kind of a test every year of what they think is
They
safe
should
and not
have
safe.
a committee, like the NHL does. The NHL has one official signed to each game for replay in Toronto. So there's an official sign for each game. So as 16 games are going on, there are 16 guys that are in charge of watching individual games.
How about this?
And baseball should do the same thing.
How about this? Why are we relying on somebody else not at the game to make the final call? Why doesn't the official on the field, the head ref, the person behind the plate, the person wearing the white hat, why don't they make the review call? Why does it need to be sent off to New York or LA or wherever? Why can't they make the call right there on the field?
That's what happens in hockey. In hockey, so if they can't make the call, like if it's an offsides call, the refs go and they look at it, and the refs decide whether or not to overturn it. It's the same thing in football. You've got the referee underneath the
well, they're getting sent to New York now too, though.
I thought they go under the tent and they watch the play and they make the decision.
They just like, what was it, last season, Buck, or a season 2 ago? It's very new.
Okay.
They just started sending it to New York.
Either way, yeah. So to me, that's stupid.
Very
Why
stupid.
not
That's
have
stupid.
There's a reason why you have the head umpire in charge. There's a guy who is the head ump of the crew. Okay, and why not have him? Because they go over there, the head of the crew plus the guy who makes the call go over to where the headset is. Why don't they have a tablet where they can watch the play and be like, hey, this is what I saw, this is why I made the call. If you see the same thing on the replay, say, yeah, I was right in making my call. If you see something different because you were shielded or whatnot, then sure, overturn your call. But just like the one where yesterday where Contreras was sliding in the second to break up a double play, did not make contact with the second baseman, and the umpire didn't call anything. He said it was a good slide. Didn't call interference or nothing. The Pirates challenge it. It goes to replay. Replay calls interference. How can you interfere with somebody that you didn't interfere with?
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, that to me is just that, like, plays like that, it is like being able to call holding on an instant replay. Like, it just, like, like it shouldn't happen.
That's not what instant replay was intended for in
Right.
baseball. Like, when they go to the one where if a guy's sliding in the second and when he goes to stand up, his foot comes a centimeter off the base and the tag is still applied, then he's out. That's not what replay was intended for. Replay was intended for fair and foul balls. It was intended for fan interference. It was intended for that type of stuff. If you got a call that was seriously wrong, it was intended for that. It's not intended for all of the little things that they have gone and used it for. Baseball absolutely needs to sit down this offseason, and the players as well in the collective bargaining agreement need to say, hey, we need to have different guidelines for replay because there are certain things that should not be looked for on instant replay. If I beat the ball to the bag by 3 feet, but in the momentum of my slide, I hop up and my cleat just barely comes off of the bag, I'm safe.
Well,
Like that.
I mean, I don't know.
You're not out.
I mean, you are out if your foot came with the back. Like,
If you
like
slide past the bag, yes. But if your foot pops up a half an inch off of the bag, which happens a lot, and then they get it overturned, that's a bad use of replay. It just is.
Yeah, well,
if you beat the throw to the bag and you don't slide past the bag and you don't come off the bag or you don't turn the wrong way or you don't do anything stupid, then you're safe. Like, I beat the ball by 3 feet, but because when I was getting up off the ground, my cleat disconnected from the bag by a half a centimeter. Now I'm out. That's ridiculous.
Right. So let me play devil's advocate here, just because that is what I'm good at here on the Man Hour. And if you guys are new
at least
here,
you're good at something.
considering hitting that like button and the subscribe button as well over here on the youtube.com/Man Hour page. But Combs, let me ask you this question first, just because like you are still wet behind the ears and you are learning how to become a man still. With that being said, many men are just afraid to admit when they're wrong. So Combs, why do you think that is why they send the play off to New York now, just because X referee is like, no, I made that call right, and they're going to look for any type of shred of evidence to basically confirm themselves?
I think they sent it off honestly because humans are imperfect. You make the wrong call just like a couple of years ago.
Des still caught it.
Correct. What?
Des still caught it.
No, he didn't catch it. But anyways, Armando Galarraga, was that his name? Combs.
Yeah, Galarraga.
And they couldn't overturn. He had a perfect game. It was clearly out at first, but the umpire, a human,
that is
makes
what
a
that
bad
play
call.
right there is what instituted replay. Replay came in the next offseason.
Yeah, well, that's why, because humans are imperfect. You can't expect a human to make every single call perfectly, and I mean, now we're seeing instant replay, of course, can't be made perfectly every single time. But that is why, because humans are imperfect. That's the perfect answer to it. Is you can't rely on one person to make a call in that exact moment and be correct 100% of the time. It's just not going to happen. And Galarraga, correct?
Yep.
Lost a perfect game because of it, and that's just one of the many examples why we do need.
The umpire admitted his mistake. He was in tears after that game. The umpire was. He was not happy about his call. He was upset that he took a perfect game away from Galarraga, and so I just I don't know, because it's hard for me when it comes to replay when we have this discussion, because I do think that replay has its flaws, but at the same time, I'm a big advocate for having automated strike zones because the strike zones have gotten so bad. So it's one of those things where I think everything's just so imperfect. I think I've really done a 360 on all of it, and I'm just back to the point where why don't we just go back to human error in the game? Let the umps make the calls. No replay, no nothing.
Yeah.
If you get screwed on a call, you get screwed. But eventually with those calls where the ones that you get screwed on and the ones that you don't, within the course of a season, they kind of even themselves out. Sometimes they'll go against you. Sometimes they'll go for you. Like, it's just how it is. So I've come to the point where I think I'm just done with replay, and in even the automated strike zones, as much as I hate watching, guys like Jim Joyce and Joe West and God, I can't even think of Hernandez behind the plate. The worst strike zones you'll ever see in your entire life. Angel Hernandez is the worst umpire I've ever seen in my life, but hey, just let him make the calls because it is what it is.
So, guys, let me ask you this question, because I feel that instant replay has changed the course of one franchise in general that comes to mind right now. Yes, I saw Mike LeBlanc over here in the Facebook chat. What's up, Mike? And his Dallas Cowboys. If Dez Bryant would have caught the ball and made it into the end zone, the Dallas Cowboys would have probably won that Super Bowl that particular season.
No, they would not have. Aaron Rodgers
Bryant did catch the ball.
No, he did not.
Yeah, he did.
At that time, the rule was you had to obtain full control, or you all the way through the fall down and everything.
Stop it.
He did not. The ball pops out clearly. You see the ball leave his body.
Okay.
Wyatt, he took 3 steps and reached for the end zone.
Because you know why? It's because it happened against the Packers. Had it happened against any other team, I'd been like, yeah, he definitely caught it.
Yeah.
He just can't see realistically when it's the Green Bay Packers. If that, I'm telling you right now, if that was a Green Bay Packer who leaved him in that, that's crap. He made that catch. He made that catch.
Okay.
And he'd be like all over it.
2 things. With the new rules, yes, he caught it. 100%. After they changed the rules, that is a catch.
They changed it because he caught it, and they called it incomplete.
He did not obtain full control all the way through the fall down and everything, the whole way through. The ball clearly popped out.
What?
You're right. But what happened to the ground can't cause a fumble?
Huh?
What happened to the ground can't cause a fumble?
It wasn't a fumble. It's an incomplete catch. The ground can cause an incomplete catch, can't it?
How can the ground cause an incomplete catch but can't cause a fumble?
Because the ball came out of his hand. I mean, it clearly leaves his body.
I just want to see you struggle.
And the ball comes straight up and out, and he rolls, and the ball comes over.
Why? He took 3 steps and reached for the end zone.
Yes.
At that time, the rule was
stop
you have
it,
to
Wyatt.
catch the ball, obtain full control all the way through,
and he did.
Falling down. And he did not. The ball
how many steps did he take when he leaped for the end zone? How many?
When he fell down, he did not obtain full control.
Oh, stop it.
Simple.
Okay,
it's that simple.
So basically, what you are telling me?
Hold on.
Okay,
the second thing Aaron
You're
Rodgers
wrong,
still
Wyatt.
had like 2 minutes left to drive down the field and win that game. There was no way.
And we've shown over and over and over again that Aaron Rodgers is not the guy that does stuff in pressure situations when it comes down to getting his team to a Super Bowl.
What?
In the NFC title game, he is not the
That
guy
was an
who
NFC
shows
title
up.
game. That was not an NFC title game. Any game before the NFC title game, if you give Aaron Rodgers 20 seconds, he can get the ball down the field all that you want.
Any game but the title
Look
game.
at the
I love it.
divisional round. Dallas 13-3 a couple of years ago. Divisional round. Aaron Rodgers has 37 seconds to get it into field goal range. He throws a dot perfectly down the sideline. Jarrett Cook grabs it.
He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Wyatt. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. How many Super Bowls has he won?
Either way, they still would have won that game.
How many Super Bowls has he been to?
He has been to 1.
Okay. Rest my case. How many has Tom Brady been to?
Totally different.
Oh, okay. Totally different. Yeah, you're right. Cool.
Say it's the GOAT. That's the GOAT.
Oh,
That's
okay.
totally different.
Okay.
Wasn't it the Green Bay game and Seattle game as well, where the Packers kind of got hosed with a replay call as well?
That was the replacement ref. So what they couldn't read. I don't think they could review it.
Yeah, that was a fail Mary.
That was the fail Mary. Yeah, that was a rough night.
Man Hour Nation, thank you for checking out that clip. If you're interested in watching the full show, the link is in the description. Click on it, hit that like button, share it with a couple friends, and as always, Man Hour Nation, rise up.